In this video, I'm going to break down how I generated over $3 million in accepted software engineering offers from my students in the past year. My name is Aman. I'm a software engineer who currently coaches students on how to land amazing high-paying offers and internships in tech. Today, I'll be breaking down the 5 biggest lessons our team of FANG engineers and recruiters teach our students that make all the difference. Trust me, when you do these 5 things, you'll never look at recruiting and software engineering the same way again. And keep in mind, these are just confirmed offers our students have told me about, so the real number is probably closer to $10 to $20 million. The first lesson you need to know is that now is the right time to get started when it comes to landing an incredible job offer in software engineering. Let me explain. A lot of students we've talked to, whether it's in our Accelerator program, friends we run into on the street, or just average people studying the computer science degree, they have this "not now, I'll get to it later" mentality. Or they'll say,
"Not now, Aman. I want to work on some projects and do some research. Then when I feel like I'm ready, I'll actually start leak coding, prepping for interviews, and then I'll start applying."
And 99% of the time, this does not work. The reason why now is almost always better to get started is because, first, you'll never know when you're actually ready. A lot of people who think "not now, later" don't realize that there's no objective readiness mark that people hit. No one is just going to walk over, knock on your door, and tell you you're ready to start applying for jobs. And this makes it so easy to convince yourself that you're not ready and keep moving the goalposts month after month after month. You continue doubting yourself and think you aren't prepared when you've probably already done enough to compete. You simply don't know what you don't know. You think there's some arbitrary metric that you need to hit, but really everybody else is making it up as they go. The second reason why now is a time you need to start is that every month that goes by where you're not pursuing an opportunity, you're wasting valuable time. Not only time spent getting a job, but you're wasting valuable time getting feedback as well. For example, let's say you're trying to land a software engineering internship for next summer. You're probably telling yourself,
"Oh, I'm going to wait a couple months, practice leak code, work on data structures and algorithms, build my portfolio, and then I'm going to start applying."
Well, newsflash, you just lost 3 months of time that you could have spent applying, and instead, a bunch of other people are filling up those positions on a rolling basis. Now you're screwed because you started applying way too late. The vast majority of people who work with us usually come after some kind of realization or aha moment. They essentially wasted an entire cycle applying, not getting results, and then decide to work with a coach. But if you could just take ownership from day one and be like,
"No, I'm going to start applying right now, get feedback as I go, and worry about interviews once I get them,"
your chances of landing a job will be significantly higher. Now, the third reason why now is the best time to get started is because if you've never applied for a job, you don't even know what an interview is like. I know it sounds super obvious, but stick with me here. If you've never done an interview, you've never done an online assessment, you've never even been in a recruiter screen, you'll have no idea what to expect. People we see who are out in the field, grinding, getting feedback, and improving, those who go through the actual recruiting process are significantly more likely to actually pass an interview and land an offer. I don't think people understand the real value of using interviews and real online assessments as practice. That real-life interview experience is gold. And sure, it's useful to do mock interviews and work with a coach, whether it's with us or someone else, but you need to practice dealing with that interview stress in the field. I'll say it one more time. If you haven't already started applying, going for referrals, and doing leak code problems, now is the time to start. Trust me, I know a ton of people who only started worrying about getting a job 1 or 2 months away from graduation, and they're screwed because they procrastinated to the very last moment. They're killing their career before they even had the chance to start. Now, the second biggest mistake people make is they simply don't understand what a bottleneck is. And not just a bottleneck in general, but specifically applied to the world of software engineering. Sure, you understand that there's something wrong with your approach, but you literally have no idea how to, 1, isolate what that problem is, and 2, actually improve it. Before we go back, let's take a step back and talk about what a bottleneck actually is. In business, a bottleneck is a constraint in a process that impedes the overall flow of work. It slows down the other components in a given process and limits throughput and efficiency. Picture a typical long neck bottle. No matter how wide it is at the bottom, the liquid can only flow as fast as the narrow neck allows. In business and operations, the bottleneck is that constraint, that one step that controls the speed and output in the entire system. Now, the term bottleneck gained popularity in the 1980s, mostly because of Eliyahu M. Goldratt's book, The Goal. In this book, Goldratt introduced a theory of constraints, or TOC, which states that every system has at least one constraint that limits performance. In simple terms, we need to find out what the problem is, fix the problem, and then the rest of the system will improve, and another problem will appear. Let's take a look at Goldratt's 5-step formula for finding and fixing a bottleneck, and I'll break it down into simpler terms as we go. Number 1, identify the constraint. You essentially want to find the problem, the one thing causing the most trouble in your current job search. Number 2 is fix the problem. Once you've identified the problem, you want to work on it deliberately and try to improve it. After that, number 3 is you look at everything else in your job search and see if it's gotten better since you fixed the problem. Number 4 is if the main problem is still causing issues, try another solution until a different bottleneck appears. And step 5 is repeat. Do this again for a new problem. So how can we apply this process towards getting a software engineering job? Well, in our process, there are essentially 2 phases. 1, getting the interview, and 2, passing the interview. So you need to ask yourself the following questions. How many interviews have I gotten? If it's less than 5 to 10 OAs, interviews, or recruiter screens, then getting the interview is likely your issue. Now, if you've been through several interviews and just haven't gotten an offer, then you need to shift your focus on passing the interview. If that's the case for you, then ask yourself this. Have I had any recent activity in the market? Have people reached out to me for a quick 15-minute chat? Have I done multiple OAs? Have I made it to the final round interview and just can't pass it? Those are the kinds of questions you need to be asking yourself as you progress in your job search. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, man, I suck at both of these, you're not alone. The truth is that most people are actually shit at both. They cannot get the interview, nor can they pass the interview. The majority of people need to double their efforts for both getting interviews and passing them. So let's start with how you actually fix the first problem. How do you get more interviews? When it comes to getting interviews, what really matters? Well, there are 4 elements to getting interviews: your resume, your LinkedIn profile, getting referrals, and applying to the right companies. Those are the 4 aspects of getting an interview that you have to figure out. Have you optimized your resume and LinkedIn to stand out in 2025? Do you have evidence of your impact and key metrics to support your claims? Do you have a professional, high-quality profile picture on your LinkedIn? Have you gotten maybe 30 or 40 referrals? If not, then those are your next steps. Now, if you've done all 3 of those things and you're still not getting interviews, it means that you're probably applying to the wrong companies. You're either too ambitious or you're positioning yourself wrong based on your background. Usually when we solve these 4 problems, we see people just get interviews, and they start to see a much better response to the market overall. Similarly, on the passing the interview side, we have 3 elements: leak code or technical coding problems, technical interviews, and behavioral interviews. We've seen time and time again that when our students figure out these 3 main elements, they're good to go. In fact, whenever a student comes to me who's struggling, one of the very first things we ask them is, which one of those 3 do you need the most help with? And once we're able to identify their weak point, we can create a plan to actually fix it. Now, for some background, we do cover all 7 of these things at the same time, but the greatest returns come from fixing that one main bottleneck issue. So that's the second lesson here. You need to understand your bottleneck. Don't just tell yourself the market's bad, that's why I'm not successful. You need to actually understand which element of the 7-step formula you're struggling with so you can figure out how to improve. And sure, once you solve or open one bottleneck, another one will appear, but you can open that one too. That's what highly successful people do. They give an honest assessment of their skills at a high level and start working on their weaknesses. And as their weaknesses become strengths, they repeat this process over and over again. This takes time and effort, of course, but it also takes something else, which happens to be our next lesson here. The third principle we see behind our most successful students is the principle of volume. They consistently go above and beyond what's expected of them in terms of inputs in the system. In fact, the people who are most successful when it comes to landing their dream job or internship are the ones who essentially apply volume to everything they do. For context, when we work with students, we have a 6-step framework: resume, LinkedIn, referrals, leak code, coding interviews, and behavioral interviews. Now, the highly successful students we work with, the ones getting jobs at companies like Google, Microsoft, and Capital One, and more, they're applying the principle of volume to each and every element here. Now, you might be asking yourself, what does that even mean? In this scenario, volume is just pumping more inputs into the system. If you do more work, you're going to see better results. Let's walk through how our best students apply volume in every part of their job search, starting with their resumes. Now, the students we work with go through a 4-stage resume process. Step 1, we have a whole resume module, which is over an hour, with 20 to 30 action points that they fix right off the bat. Step 2 is they actually get feedback on their resume from one of the recruiters we work with, whether it's Yvonne from Amazon or John from Bloomberg. Our recruiters record a whole breakdown and analysis of their latest resume draft. Step 3, they hop on a call with the recruiters to get roasted and have any remaining issues with their resume picked apart. And step 4, finally they hop on a call with me to actually have me roast their resume. I know that sounds like a lot, but trust me, it's absolutely worth it. Your resume is the single most important document in your career. And yet so many people just don't know how to write a good, modern resume. Once we've locked in the final draft of their resume, most of our students straight up tell me,
"Oh my god, Amon. I knew it needed work, but I didn't know my resume was that bad."
That's how you apply volume. Most people will make 1 or 2 revisions, make a few changes, and call it a day. But you really need to get at least 4 layers of eyes in your resume to actually make a big difference. It's the same thing with LinkedIn. You can reuse basically everything on your resume for your LinkedIn profile, but make sure that everything is consistent. Your dates need to line up, Your responsibilities and titles need to line up, and if you have any relevant projects, make sure you have links. Recruiters aren't spending a lot of time scanning your profile, so if you have a great project that needs extra effort to get to, they probably won't see it. You must go through your LinkedIn line by line by line before you start applying. Now, how do we apply volume to referrals? Well, most of our students start by messaging people they know and some alumni from their school. Sure, that's a great way to start out, but the most successful students we work with are making over 100 referral requests per week. They have between 3 to 10 coffee chats weekly, and they end every single one of them by asking for a referral. We actually give them a whole script to follow. Think of it this way. Even if 2 people with identical experience and skills followed the exact same strategy to get hired, the one who just does more will get a job faster. That's the difference. Our most successful students are operating at 10 times the volume of other random CS majors. It's the same story with LeetCode. Our students are doing a minimum of 1 LeetCode problem a day, and on average 5 to 10 problems a week. They focus on medium problems and get feedback every step of the way. In addition to LeetCode, we alternate doing prep for technical interviews and behavioral interviews every single week. They're also completing multiple mock interviews with our FANG engineers, recruiters, and with me. You might not feel it in week 1, but as the weeks pile up, pouring all this volume into these vital areas results in exponential improvement. Honestly, our students can't believe how fast they improve in these 6 key areas because they've simply never worked this hard. They've never actually put this much effort into the system. So you might be thinking,
This all sounds great, but what if I don't want to enroll in a program? How can I effectively apply volume like this in my own application process without the help of a team or coach?
Let's start by only looking at your resume. Can you find someone in your network to take a look at it? Could you show it to a mentor, professor, or industry leader in your area? Even if it's just a couple of close friends, those additional opinions are incredibly valuable. When it comes to grinding LeetCode on your own, start with this basic question. How many LeetCode problems can you solve per week? The most successful students you work with end up solving hundreds and hundreds of LeetCode problems over their entire application cycle. Now, this doesn't happen overnight, and you're probably going to suck at first, but over time, you will get better. As long as you're intentional with the work you put in, you will see positive results. However, this needs to be done over a long period of time, which brings us to our next principle, and that's consistency. Volume and consistency are like sunlight and water for a plant. A plant needs sunlight and water to grow, and you need both volume and consistency to succeed in landing a software engineering job. The key difference between these two concepts is that volume is basically putting a lot of effort into something, getting a lot of repetitions in. Consistency, on the other hand, is doing those reps for a long period of time. For example, imagine you're in the gym doing a high volume workout. You're doing roughly 5 or 6 sets of 10 to 15 reps for each exercise, and you're really pushing yourself and exhausting your muscles. But what if you do that just once every 6 months? It's not going to make any difference, and that's why you need consistency. It's the same thing with our top tier students. They don't just apply our principles one day a week when they feel like it. They put the work in every day for months and months and months. Because of that dedication and focus, almost nothing surprises them in an interview. They can adapt on the fly because they trust the process and constantly push themselves to be better. So of course, volume and consistency work, but why isn't everyone doing this? Why isn't everyone just locking in and committing to the grind for months at a time? It seems so obvious, but I think a lot of people get some kind of negative feedback from an early interview or poor experience that causes them to doubt the system entirely. Or they might try it for a week, expect results immediately, and then backtrack completely when they don't have 15 offers from FANG level companies. At the end of the day, our most successful students are the ones who take the system, implement it, and do it for months on end, seek out feedback, and don't give up. One incredible example of consistency is the TV show Squid Game. In 2021, it became the most watched show in Netflix history, and its writer, Hwang Dong-hyuk, even won an Emmy for it in 2022. Given all of this, you'd probably assume that Hwang, this creator of this worldwide cultural movement, was some kind of big shot South Korean director with decades of success. Well, turns out that he wrote the script for Squid Game all the way back in 2009. 12 years before it even saw the light of day. For over a decade, he pitched this script to every producer and actor in South Korea, only to get rejected over and over again. Each time he was told no, he would make revisions to the script, hoping to try again in the future. As he continued working on other movies, Netflix began expressing interest in international content in the late 2010s. In 2018, Ted Sarandos, co-CEO of Netflix, stated that they were looking for more successes from overseas productions. He quotes, "The exciting thing for me would be if the next Stranger Things came from outside of America. Right now, historically, nothing of that scale has come from anywhere but Hollywood." 1 year later in 2019, Netflix publicly announced that they would produce Squid Game. Huang's original series would go on to be one of the most memorable TV shows of all time. Look, I know we're not writing K-dramas here, but trying to get a tech job in this market isn't easy. Just remember that if Huang can wait 12 years to produce Squid Game, you can stomach grinding leak code for a few months. This brings us to our fifth and final principle, and that's humbling yourself. A big part of why our process works so well is that we meet people where they are in their career. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution, and a lot of the students who come to work with us actually have little to no practical experience. They're starting from scratch with nothing on their resume, and they need help taking that first step. And sometimes that first step involves getting an unpaid internship at a startup. And to do an unpaid internship, you have to let go of your ego. A lot of people have too big of an ego to do what's necessary to move forward in their career. They say things like,
"Oh, I'm too good for an unpaid internship. I'm looking for a full-time job. I don't really want to take an internship."
and because of this mindset, they don't build their resumes. And when you don't build your resume, you can't build your career. So those are the 5 big things we did that helped us secure over $3 million in confirmed offers for our students in the past year. I know it was a lot, so let's quickly recap everything we covered. Number 1, stop thinking that now is not the right time. Start applying immediately and get real market feedback. Number 2, understand your bottleneck. Identify whether you're struggling with getting interviews or passing them, and then drill down further. Number 3, apply the principle of volume. 10x your effort in every area compared to average students. Number 4, stay consistent over time. Trust the process and adapt based on feedback without doubting the entire system. And number 5, humble yourself. Be willing to take unpaid internships and entry-level opportunities early on so you can build your resume for full-time offers later. Now, I get it. This takes an insane level of effort. Getting a job in tech is harder than it's ever been before. So if you want our team of FANG recruiters and FANG engineers to help you get an internship, full-time role, or just help you get started in your tech career, check out the Software Engineering Accelerator. We've placed students into companies like Microsoft, Google, LinkedIn, Meta, and Salesforce. So if you're interested in taking the next step in your tech career, check out the top link in the description below. If you want to actually see me break down a 6-step roadmap to get an incredible software engineering internship this year, click this video over here. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.